Hello everyone, let's talk about arrogance. We've been accused on many occasions of being an arrogant raider. And I ask people who do accuse that, what do you mean arrogant raider? What do you mean by that? Are all raiders? Do you mean all raiders are arrogant? Or do you mean that I'm arrogant in general? I try not to be arrogant when we're raiding. As a progression raider, we're certainly not arrogant. We are certainly not arrogant. Pug raiders tend to be what they mean, and pug raiders are a very poor representation of the raiding community as a whole, because pug raiders do not like content. Okay, pug raiders are not interested in the content. They're interested in the result of the content, which is the reward. They are a very result driven groups. If you're doing a pug group for Temple of Sacrifice and they require the achievement, if you join a pug group, if you don't agree with it or don't like it, don't join the group. You know, it's always down to that person. You know, the person who's doing it wants a quick clear generally. The person who's running the raid, and it's up to them. It's up to them. There's nothing in the game, terms and conditions, that state they can't sell things or sell entry to raids. That's out with it. But the conditions that they set for an invite are entirely up to them. If you don't agree with it, my suggestion is to form your own group, and again, try it that way. So again, it's up to that person. You know, I've been asked for my achievement link a few times. Fair enough, I'll link it. Fair enough. But I don't think that is that arrogant? That's the question we've got to ask. Is that an arrogant thing? Bear in mind that these story modes, I'll be honest and tell you, these story mode raids are too hard. They're too hard. They're overtuned, and they're just too difficult. Personally, that's my opinion. That's someone who raids hard mode. You know, I'm what, 4 out of 10 hard mode. Not great progression, to be honest with you. It's okay. I mean, 4 out of 10, not too bad, really. I think the average is like 6 out of 10, so we're slightly below average, I would suggest. Very few guilds have actually 10 out of 10 killed Revan. I think it's something like, I think it's less than 20 guilds apparently have killed Revan. Apparently, I don't know actually. I don't know how current that was. That was a few months ago I read that, so it might be more now. I don't actually know. But certainly we are up to Underlurker HM. Now let me tell you about Underlurker. The first, or any boss, we'll tell you about any boss that we pull when we're doing progression. The first 10 pulls are exploratory pulls. They are. We're gonna wipe. You know you're gonna wipe. Bring cash, you're gonna wipe. Those first 10 pulls are basically just you kind of attuning yourself to the boss. So you're basically looking for, I'm not going to pop any healing cooldowns in the first couple of pulls because I want to see what happens when I don't pop those healing cooldowns. I want to save them for a specific phase, and then eventually the more pulls you do, the better you get at it. You know, for example, we were wiping on Sword Squadron, and you know, we were wiping quite early. We were wiping at 45% at one point. And then we got him down to 30% start wiping. Again, that's progress. That's very good progress. And then eventually we got him down to 5%, and we were wiping because of enrage. Now people say that's a bad thing, but that's actually a good thing in progression. You're wiping to enrage at 5%. That means we are close. We're very, very close. All that's missing is the DPS. The mechanics are going well. We're missing the DPS. Okay, so we're just hitting enrage at 5%. If you're hitting enrage at like 40%, that's not good. Okay, that's terrible. But 5%, all we're missing is that one little component, and that's DPS. And DPS is easy. It's easy. It's one of the easiest things to find. So mechanically, we're fine. We know we're going fine mechanically. And the next week, we downed it. We downed it, and now we can down it every week now because we know we've got the mechanics down. We've got the DPS to do it. There we go, we downed it, and I've got a video of that. I might put this video in the background actually of this. So it's not arrogant, you know, to say that, oh, we're wiping at 5%, DPS suck. No, that's very, very good. It's actually a good thing because it means that we're just short that little bit of component. DPS tends to be the last thing that gets tuned, okay, because you focus on the mechanics more than the DPS. I mean, your first couple of pulls, ignore your damage output, okay, who cares? Ignore your healing output, who cares? Okay, you were just trying to kind of tune ourselves to what's going on, and we're trying to get ourselves into it. Should I pop a cooldown here? Where do I pop this cooldown? You know, do we pop all our cooldowns? Do we pop big cooldowns at the beginning for healers? if the tank's taking damage, we try to heal the tank through it, and then the next phase we try to get the cooldown off in the next phase, because we're always trying to save things and say, should we pop a cooldown at this point, because the tank is, we know the tank is going to take damage here, or we know the group is going to take damage here, so we maybe save it for certain points, and eventually you become sort of more accustomed to the fight, and eventually you make progress. So you make progress going from 60% on Underlurker to 50%. Now we're at 42% on Underlurker. Now we're wiping on that. So we're making progress. Every little pull that we do, we make more progress. And of course, this is not for everyone, and you can't afford really to be arrogant as a progression raider. You've got to be patient, really, not arrogance. If you were arrogant, you'd be like, oh, everybody sucks, get everybody out, kick this person, kick that person. Now compare this to pugs, where one wipe, one person leaves. Now that person who leaves probably is arrogant, probably a very arrogant person. They don't want to stick it out. I very rarely leave a pug group, I should point out. I've been like in pug groups where it looks like we're never going to do it, but I stick around. And that's the kind of progression mentality that you have to have. You have to be able to want the boss dead. I want the loot. I want this boss dead. And we have to believe that we can kill this boss. We're not going to sit here and hurl insults. We can point out mistakes. That's not arrogance, really. And bear in mind that because of the way these raids are tuned, that there is a certain standard of player that is required. There is a standard that you've got to hit, and there are expectations on you as a raider. Because bear in mind, think of raiding as a team sport. If you go into any team sport and you don't play your role properly, you're probably going to get removed from that team. Okay, so you're asking to join a team. It's like if you're no good at baseball, you're not going to join a baseball team, are you? And how do we vet those players out? That's the problem. How do we vet those? And it tends to be achievements, really, that is the difference for pug groups, because pug groups only don't know you. Pug groups don't know you. They don't know you from the next guy. Okay, you're nothing really. You're just a number to a pug group. You're not really a person. You're just like a sort of NPC that's slightly more intelligent. You're a more intelligent GSI droid with less health and does less damage and does less healing as well. So that's essentially what you are. You're just an intelligent NPC to these people, and they're only concerned about the results. So in that respect, it is a very team-driven sport in that sense. So if you look at most team-driven things, you know, it's kind of similar. So you've got expectations. You have to be able to play your role. I mean, there's no point in, you know, if you look at soccer, for example, there's no point in playing, getting a player who's useless. You're not going to pay money for someone who can't play their role properly. You know, I'm never going to play for Barcelona. I know that. I'm never going to join. I'm never going to try. You know, I know that I'm never going to play for that. I know that I'm never good enough. I've probably struggled to get a game for bloody Partick Thistle at this rate. There you go. I'd never get a game there. So I'm never going to do that. I know that. But, you know, it doesn't... I don't try and join those teams. But then again, how do we vet? The only way to really do that as a pug is to look at their achievements. And again, it's the same for anything. It's like almost like applying for a job as well. You could argue that, again, they vet people based on first impressions. And if you don't have the achievement, then they assume you don't know how to do it. And again, they just want results. It's all result driven. It's not about that. Guild is a different thing. Being in a guild, yeah, we're trying to achieve the result as a guild, but we're doing that as more of a team. We are more of a kind of together team as a guild. And bear in mind, people get kicked from guilds a lot of the time. Again, people who can't play their role or can't play their class properly, bear in mind, it's not arrogant to kick someone who clearly doesn't play their class properly after you explain to them. If they're not tanking properly, if they're not healing right, if they're not producing enough damage, or they're, just dying to things over and over again. Tend to find it very rarely happens from a guild, but bear in mind in a pug group that you're just wasting the time of 7 other people, essentially, that's there. And, those 7 people want that same result as well. And again, to get the result, if it means kicking one person who's doing very badly, then they're gonna do that, because again, it's not hugely arrogant to kick a person from a group. I've seen players get kicked from guilds for doing things. Most players, it's just usually attitude that they get kicked from. I got kicked from a guild for being an asshole But yeah, I mean, most people who get removed, I've seen people get removed for doing things like turning up late. Again, that's quite arrogant, turning up late for a raid. Again, we have a scheduled raid at a time, and if you can't show up, or you show up late without giving an excuse, you usually get warnings and you get removed. But bear in mind that you're keeping 7 other people waiting. You know, 7 other people. There's other people in that group that want to get on, that want to kill that boss. And bear in mind that pugs just want... They just want to get the thing over with and get the reward, okay? They don't want to wait on people, they don't want to explain tactics, and that's up to the pug group. That's up to the leader of the group. Some leaders do like to explain things. Some people like to teach you things, and some people, again, like to do that. Some people like that, but again, it's going to result in a higher failure rate. And again, a lot of people leave pugs due to failures. Again, it's partially down to sort of players' attitudes. I mean, people's attitudes in pugs, it does suck. Okay, generally it sucks. I don't like it. You know, we see that in a guild. We did a 16-man TOS run with a couple of pug DPS, and who were the first 3 people to leave was the pug DPS. After 2 wipes, Sword Squadron. Sword Squadron 16-man can be pretty tough. Underlurker 16-man is tough in story mode, okay? It's pretty tough. You got to get all, you know, 8, it's like, what is it? It's 6 people aside. That's not, it's, yeah, it's, trying to work this maths out here. 16, 47 people per side and 2 in front. That's 16. There you go. There, a bit of maths on the fly. It's late at night. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you shouldn't do maths after 4 PM. If I come to power, I'm going to ban maths after 4 PM. Okay, after 4 PM, between sort of 8 AM, 4 PM to 8 AM, I'm going to ban maths. And if you caught doing maths after that, you're going to be whipped an unspecified amount of times, because that would require maths to count the amount of whippings. See? Thought it through. Thought it through, I have. But anyway, back to the point. On topic. Yeah, so you're expected to be able to play your class properly, because that's the way they're tuned. It's not like Dread Fortress and Dread Palace, where we could carry a few people. 16-man was designed around the concept of, yeah, you could carry a few people, but these raids are very, very tightly tuned. They are difficult, and, you know, some people don't mind. I don't mind wiping a couple of times on a boss. I think failure in a video game is nothing. What's the price of failure? Credits. You can get credits, you know, dailies are going to make up for that. It's not really time and a couple of credits, a couple of 1,000 credits, which, you know, we're flooded with credits in 3.0. So many ways to make credits. It's nothing really. There's no real penalty. The penalty for failure in this game is a joke, really. It is a joke. You know, have a go all night. You know, you're not going to go bankrupt. Basically, you know, it's just a question of time. Basically, that's the biggest thing. People don't want to do, want their stuff quickly. I want to get in and want to get out quickly, I guess. That's the mentality issue. But again, pugs are never going to change. You're never going to change the attitude of other players. You're never, ever, ever going to change that. That's never going to happen. Okay, I've seen it in every MMO. Every MMO is the same. Require achievements, you know, go to another MMO and try and do a run without achievements. That's where guilds come in. Now, guilds generally will be a bit more patient with you, because guilds want to keep you around in the guild. So they want to keep you because they want the, you know, your account in the guild to get the XP and rep boost. They also want your conquest points if they're a conquest guild. So taking you to an op, especially if you're in like a guild that wants to do conquest and it's the conquest for that week, it makes sense. The more people that do it, the more conquest points they get, of course. So it makes sense for them to go and teach players how to run ops or how to do, you know, how to play their roles. So again, there's a vested interest, and plus keeping you around in the guild is another player for progression that they can do, and again, it grows their guild and it grows a community. That's the positive side to raiding and PvP as well. PvP and raiders, we kind of form communities because you need to for raiding. You know, you form your, whether it be a small community, whether it be a big community, but we tend to form that. Do solo players really do that? I mean, RPers do it. We're not confusing solo players with RPers here. RPers do form communities, and RPers tend to make their own content. If we're honest, they tend to make their own content. And to be fair, SWTOR is not too bad for RPers. They've had quite a few good things over the last year. You've had the Strongholds, which is very good for RPers, and you've had the costume designer. Again, it's pretty nice. If you're an RPer, you can wear any armor you like practically now in the game. You know, you've had the cartel market's pretty nice as well. You got good costumes in there if you want to role play. So there's plenty of things. Speech bubbles is what they want, and to be able to sit in chairs is another thing. Want to more interact with the environment? Fair enough. I'm all for that. Being arrogant, you would essentially, the definition of arrogance is, or how I define it anyway, is you can never accept anyone else's point of view but your own. Now I get that. I get that story players want more story content. I get that PvPers, of course, they want more PvP content. I don't PvP that much myself. Should we have PvPers in the game? Yeah, we should, because they're a valuable asset to the game. If you don't realize that raiders, PvPers, RPers, all of them as a collective, regardless of how much percentages they take up in terms of the overall player base, they are a valued asset to the game. Raiders, PvPers are mostly subscribers, so they're bringing money into, you know, to BioWare and again to EA. Bear in mind that if you're telling these people, you're telling me, oh, just quit the game. If you're a raider, you should go play something else. That's somewhere else we're investing our money. If everybody does that, it's going to be a notable loss. And bear in mind who publishes this game. This is EA we're talking about, and bear in mind what EA did earlier this year. Okay, EA shut down a bunch of MMOs that were failing. If SWTOR starts failing, and I don't want SWTOR to fail personally, I don't, be a disaster. I put a lot of effort into this game, put a lot of effort into our channel. We cover quite a lot of the game in my channel. I do guides as well. You know, you can't be arrogant to do a guide, really. If you're going to guide and teach people, I'm happy to teach people how to, you know, the basics of their class. We don't do very much advanced stuff, but we do the basics generally. That's what my guides tend to cover. I would never make guides if you were arrogant. You're too arrogant. Arrogant, you're not going to teach anyone. We just say, oh, this is how you do it. This is it. You're an idiot. Here you go. Kill this. Kill that. There you go. That's arrogance, you know, but we try to explain the reasons why we choose certain things, and we try to just, you know, again, why I've chosen this, and I do it from my own personal experience. That's what I do. That's the way I've done it, you know. I do learn from other people. You do take people's advice, and, you know, people listen to other people's advice, because when you're doing progression, it helps to listen, you know. Oh, how come you're doing, you know, more DPS than me? Oh, I'm using this, this, and this. All right, you know, and then it gives you a point of discussion, and you know, you can do this and you can learn things. You can learn a lot more things from other people in this game, and that's why I like raiding. That's why I like it, because, you know, it's the challenge. You know, we'll kill that bastard eventually. We'll kill that Underlurker bastard eventually, and then we'll wipe on the Revanite commanders again. Getting back to that, apparently they're pretty tough in hard mode, so I hear. But again, we'll down it eventually, and it's overcoming that adversity, because the first few pulls, you look at it and think, shit, this is impossible. And then you get it, and then the penny drops, and then you become better and better, and then everybody starts to get it, and then we're functioning as a unit. And that's why I like MMOs. That's why I like raiding. That's what attracts me to it. Really, is it's overcoming it, and overcoming it as part of a team. It's a very satisfying feeling. Killing Sword Squadron was awesome. Eventually getting it down, doesn't matter how long it took. And again, bear in mind that if you're ever going to succeed in anything, you need to be prepared to fail. Okay, you be prepared to fail if you're ever going to achieve success. Because yeah, the first step on the road to success is failure. There you go. 2 fucking cliches in one video. There you go. So anyway, we've ranted on for 20 minutes. So thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, losers. Nah, I'm only kidding. I love you really deep down. So bye guys. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye. Keep on raiding. Keep on raiding.